So hey guys, welcome to this first lecture on E2015. And in this lecture, we'll mostly be dealing with the terms that you're already familiar with. And let's start off. So basically, when we're talking about electrical circuits and networks, since this course is about electrical circuits and networks, first we need to know what a network and a circuit mean. We try and look at what an electrical network or a network means. An electrical network is an interconnection of various electronic or electromechanical components, like an inductor, resistor, capacitor, or maybe a current or a voltage source too. So, interconnection of various electronic components is basically what an electrical network is. And it is a slightly broader term in the sense that network need not have any sort of looping, and network is something that can be distributed over a very large area, like in the case of a power grid or maybe an electrical telegraph. I mean, these are two specific cases, and network can be distributed over a very large area. But if you try and look at a more specific case, of a circuit is basically a network with at least one loop. A network with at least one loop, meaning there's at least one closed path for the current or the charge to flow in the circuit. That is what a circuit is basically. And next, let's try and look at what lumped circuit elements are. There's two types of circuital elements, like lumped circuital elements and distributed circuital elements. When we study about lumped circuital elements, we are not really interested in the spatial study of the voltage and current, which are the relevant quantities we'll study about. So if you're talking about lump circuit elements, we're not really interested in the spatial distribution of the voltage or the potential difference across each element in the or any sort of small element in the circuit. So instead of that, we just try and look at the terminal quantities of voltage and current. Let's say we have this resistor of varying cross section. Instead of trying to study the potential difference across each of its elements or very small elements in the varying cross section of the resistor, if we look at it as a lump circuit element, we'll only try and analyze the terminal voltages for this resistor and the current that is flowing into or away from a particular terminal. And as we already know, V and I are basically the relevant quantities we'll be talking about, like voltage and the current. And another thing to keep in mind, or probably make note of, is basically the fact that all these equations, like when we write equations using Kirchhoff's voltage law and current law for our circuits, these equations are basically a consequence of Maxwell's equations in physics. There's four fundamental Maxwell's equations in physics. So these are basically specific cases of Maxwell's equations from which we can derive these laws. And in Maxwell's equations, we mainly describe the flow of charges and fields. So instead of directly describing the flow of charges and fields in circuits, we'll try and analyze the flow of charges and fields by calibrating the voltage and current for that circuit element. Uh, I mean, like the voltage across the element, or maybe the current that is flowing through the element. So by calibration of V and I, we'll try and analyze how the flow of charges and fields are happening in the circuit. And as you can see here, I mean, what I have is basically a two-terminal element, which I think you already know. So if we try and make a circuit using these these four two-terminal elements, we have like this one loop in our circuit, and basically we have this junction of two separate two-terminal elements, or you know, uh, a junction of two terminals, or a connecting point of two terminals in our circuit. This point is basically called as a node. A node is basically a connecting point of two or more terminals in a circuit. And now we've already looked at what a node is, and I guess you already know what a loop is. But to formally define it, I mean, we can say that it is basically a closed path that we trace through all the nodes in our circuit. As in, we start from a particular node, then we traverse through all the elements or traverse through all the nodes in the electrical circuit, and then we end up at the same node. That is what a loop is, a closed path which traverses through all the nodes in the circuit or all the elements. And any legitimate circuit, for example, I mean, in this example, I have three like circuital elements which are connected in parallel. So any legitimate circuit has at least two nodes. Like in this case, this is like the, I mean, minimum number of nodes a circuit can have. So any circuit that we can make sense of basically has two or more nodes. right? And let's now try and look at some very basic or simple two-terminal elements. I mean, we'll mainly be dealing with resistors, capacitors, and inductors. So let's directly try and look at how the relations are across these elements. So since these elements are L and C are passive elements, as an elements where power is rather stored or dissipated instead of being generated, we use this passive sign convention to define the sign of electrical power. So I mean, basically this sign convention that we're using for the voltage, that is plus and minus, and the current flowing from top to the bottom, is basically our passive sign convention. And to make sense of each element or any particular electrical element in a circuit, we need to know the potential difference across the element or the terminals of the element and the current that is flowing through the element. So let us say this element is basically, for example, a resistor. So if it's a resistor, using Ohm's law, we can directly write that V is equals to IR for the resistor. And for instance, if it's a capacitor, what we can do is to find the current that is flowing through the capacitor, we can write it as the time derivative of our charge. So if we write it as the time derivative of charge, it is basically dq by dt. So dq by dt can be written as d of cv by dt. So I mean, using that we get c dv by dt. And similarly for inductor, if we try and find the magnitude of potential difference across the inductor, it is L di by dt. I mean, it is the time derivative of flux. So since it is a time derivative of flux, we can just write it as L di by dt. And I mean, if you want to represent the voltage using the sign for an inductor, the voltage will have a negative sign because this voltage is going to oppose the change in flux that will happen in the inductor. So since the voltage is going to oppose this change in flux, it has a negative sign. And I mean, RLC are passive elements, like I mean, we've already studied. And also, I think two fundamental laws, are laws which you already know about, are KCL and KVL, that is Kirchhoff's current law and Kirchhoff's voltage law. So if we try and look at what Kirchhoff's current law is, Kirchhoff's current law tells us that sum of currents leaving a node is 0. I mean, in this figure, if we look at this figure, I1, I2, I3, and I4 are the currents that are leaving this node. So as a consequence of this Kirchhoff's current law, we can write that I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4 is going to be equal to 0. And if you look at, I mean, the basic reason why this law makes sense or holds true is that the charges cannot really accumulate locally at a particular point. So since charges cannot accumulate locally at a particular point, we can say that the sum of currents that leave a particular point or leave a particular node is 0. And if we look at Kirchhoff's voltage law, I mean, it can be written in a lot of ways, but one way of stating is basically by saying that sum of voltage law across every element in a loop. I mean, it can be taken in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, but we have to maintain that direction. So taken in a consistent direction is going to be 0. And for the circuit which we have here, I think, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like by looking at it, you can write V1 plus V2 plus V3 plus V4 is 0. And I mean, a basic reason or the origin for this KVL or the Kirchhoff's voltage law is from the fact that, I mean, this one of the Maxwell's equation that we know of is that the curl of electric field is equals to minus dV by dt. That is a negative of a time derivative of the magnetic field. So curl of E is basically equal to minus dV by dt. And in the cases that we are looking at, dV by dt is 0. There's no sort of time variation of magnetic field. So since dV by dt is 0, we can write that the curl of electric field is 0. And using that fact, we can state this Kirchhoff's voltage law that the sum of voltage drop taken in a consistent direction across each element is going to be 0. That's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we'll try and look at more concepts that you're already familiar with and get started off with the basics before we move on to slightly more rigorous concepts. So thank you.